The time is 7:02, so I'm going to call the June meeting of the Richland County Board of Supervisors to order.
It's the May meeting, not June.
The May meeting of the Richland County Board, as I said, the May meeting. Thank you, gentlemen. That's why we have Corp Council here. That's my trend. Okay. Mr. Kalish, would you please take the roll?
Carroll.
Here.
Murphy Lopez.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Seep.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Renish.
Here.
Luck.
Here.
Manning.
Here.
Gacho. Glassbringer.
Here.
Rudersdorf. Gentis.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Severson.
Present.
Williamson.
Here.
Cooey. Fleming.
Here.
Voice.
Here.
And McGuire. You have a quorum, 17 and 21.
Thank you. Thank you. And joining us tonight is Pastor Wayne Fife from the Free Methodist Church. He will be leading us in an invocation. And after that, please remain standing, and Clerk Kalish will then lead us in the pledge.
If I could just say a personal word before I pray. First of all, I'm free, but I'm not from the Free Methodist Church.
Oh, no.
And that's okay, Marty. I'm a retired pastor, and I'm part of the Richland County Ministerial Association. Have we got this on?
No, I'm sorry. I had it on.
Okay.
Hold it real close.
All right. So, whenever I'm here, I like to take a personal opportunity to thank you. I like to take the personal opportunity to thank you for your diligent service. And I know this last year has been a challenging one. I keep up with your goings on, and I really do appreciate it as a fellow member of the community. And I sat here listening to the roll call, and I watched you as you settled in and you were greeting each other. And I want to thank you for your devotion to friendship and your relationships with each other, even with your different viewpoints, unique perspectives, different opinions. But your desire to work together is to be commended and valued. And I just want you to know that people appreciate you doing that. So let us pray. Our God and Heavenly Father, we present ourselves before you as public servants and fellow citizens of our community. We do not take our sincere and weighty responsibilities lightly. Therefore, we acknowledge our need for you, for your hand, and for your guidance in giving the leadership you and our fellow citizens have placed in our hands. We look to you for grace and aid that we might exercise prudent stewardship of the trust granted to us, strategic wisdom for the solutions to complex issues that are before us, and breakthrough decisions that provide ways forward for our beloved community. God, help these leaders to carry the hopes and burdens of governing and strengthen them with resolve, resolution, and renewal as they deliberate, as it were, at the gate of our county. Bless, protect, and keep our first responders. We thank you for them. And we thank you for the men and women of law enforcement in our community. Oh Lord, bless our churches, our businesses, our schools, our medical services, our great company of volunteers. Bless those in need of food or housing, and all our fellow citizens. Bless them, O God. All authority ultimately comes from you, God, and is delegated by you to the leaders in this room. We join together in humbling ourselves before you. that we might serve our fellow citizens with integrity, trustworthiness, and honor. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a 31-point agenda tonight, and before I ask for approval, I'm going to do a little explaining on the agenda. Mike Bindle is not here tonight, so Derek and I will be handling that portion of the agenda, the ordinance portion, and the petitions for zoning, and the petitions for denial. And then we will be moving into the sale of our $8,100,000 general obligation capital improvement bonds. And Carol Worth is here, and Brandon Worth is also here. And after that, assuming approval, we're going to take a very short recess, and we're going to do some signature things, so Carol won't have to return tomorrow. We'll do that tonight, so assuming approval. And then I think everything else will pretty much, we do not have the treatment court presentation tonight. They asked us to reschedule them. So I will, with those explanations, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Mr. Turk, seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So we have an agenda. The minutes of the April 18th meeting were published. Does anyone have any changes, corrections to those? If not, I will declare those approved as published. Okay. Brings us to a public comment section. And joining us tonight is Molly Bond from Congressman Van Orden's office, our congressman. And she's going to give us just a quick update.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again for having me tonight. Like I said, my name is Molly Bond. I've been to one of these other meetings as well and been around the county. I am Congressman Derek Van Orden's field representative. Going to give a quick update. Like I said before, we are constituent service first office, so being accessible and available. So I will be, and I have hosted mobile office hours throughout Richland County. So if someone needs help with a federal agency, I'm available, or want Derek to know opinion or comment on a piece of legislation. He was involved in the Limit, Save, Grow Act, and he advocated for an amendment that was included to strengthen protections for Wisconsin agriculture industry, including corn growers and the biofuel industry. With regards to flooding on the river, we are very actively involved in watching that. Also with the DeSoto train derailment, our staff was there within an hour, so we are very concerned about public safety, and that investigation is going well, but we are actively monitoring that situation as well locally. Just as far as this afternoon, Derek voted yes in support of 2 law enforcement votes, and they were passed by the House. We contacted every sheriff in our district, including your sheriff, Sheriff Porter, and we had bipartisan support, including 4 Democrats, to vote yes for these bills. They were H.R. 3091 and H.R. 2494. 3091 was allowing federal officers to purchase retired service weapons, and then 2494 was stating that an assault of a police officer is a deportable offense if an illegal alien assaults a police officer. So we are able to contact our sheriffs, get those support or their opinions, and pass that today. So those are just some brief things that we're going on. If you want to get more updates, please sign up for a newsletter online or send me an email. I'm always available and would be open to meeting with anyone. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Takes us down. Well, is there any other public comment I should ask? Virginia wants to say something?
No, I don't. I'm just
Okay.
here to listen.
Glad you're with us. Thank you. Takes us down then to number 7, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Corey Prairie in the town of Westford. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 23-11, amendment number 571 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described 3.47 acre parcel belonging to Corey Prairie and in the town of Westford is hereby rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District to the Single Family Residential R2 District. This ordinance shall be effective on May 17 of 2023 and was offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on May 1st of 23.
Okay, you've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson and Ms. Fleming is the second. And do we have an explanation for this one? We do. Where was that sheet?
I have it if you want me to read it.
Number 7.
Yes, please.
So the applicant is separating the residence and building from the rest of the ag land.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Any questions, comments? All right. All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Number 8, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Jesse and Elizabeth Adsett in the town of Dayton. Mr. Kalish.
This is ordinance number 23-12, amendment number 572 to zoning ordinance number 5. That the following describes 6.79 acre parcel belonging to Jesse and Elizabeth Adsett in the town of Dayton is hereby rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District to Ag and Residential District. This ordinance shall be effective May 17 of 2023 and is again offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on May 1 of 2023.
You've heard the ordinance. Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Mr. Turk. And Melissa, are you going to give the background?
You can, I don't care.
Please do.
Okay. So the applicant is selling his current parcel that is zoned ag residential, and the purchaser would like more land so that no one can build around his current lot. So this lot is being created and needs to be rezoned since it's less than 35 acres.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ordinance is adopted. Number 9, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Jerry and Vicky Stedley in the town of Eagle. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 23-13, amendment number 573 to again zoning ordinance number 5. That the following described 5.0 acre parcel belonging to Jerry and Vicky Stedley in the town of Eagle is hereby rezoned from the General Ag and Forestry District to the Ag and Residential District. Again, effective on May 17th of 2023, and again offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on May 1 of 2023.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson, seconded by McKee. Mr. McKee. Melissa?
The applicant is adding more land to his existing 0.88 acre parcel to put a building, or he's building an accessory structure. The total acreage will be more than 5 acres, so it will need to be rezoned ag residential.
Thank you. Any questions, any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Number 10, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Ken and Ann Renish in the town of Willow.
This is ordinance number 23-14, amendment number 574 to zoning ordinance number 5. The following described 6.35 acre parcel belonging to Ken and Ann Renish in the town of Willow is hereby rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District to Ag and Residential District. This ordinance shall be effective on May 17th of 2023. It is again offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on May 1 of 2023.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Ms. Fleming. And background.
The purchaser wants more land so that no one can build close to him, so the new parcel will need to be rezoned.
Thank you. Okay, comments, questions? Some of these names seem familiar in this reading. All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted.
Mr. Chair, Renish abstains from that vote.
Thank you, Mr. Renish. Yes. The record will so indicate. Thank you. Takes us down to number 11, report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session. Did you want to report those out, Melissa?
Sure. There's a petition of Harmony Valley Home to rezone 2.08 acres from Ag Forestry to Residential 2 in Section 15, Town of Forest. There's a petition of William Maland to rezone 5 acres from Ag Forestry to Ag Residential in Section 10 of the Town of Richwood. And a petition from Jeremiah and Alyssa Heggie to rezone 8 acres from Ag Forestry to Ag Residential in Section 27, Town of Aiken.
Okay, and how about petitions recommended for denial, number 12?
There are
None? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. C.
I wish to congratulate you and Mr. Kalish and Melissa. You've done a wonderful job of zoning in on those resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. C. Thank you.
No pun intended.
Duly noted. Okay. Takes us down to number 13. And you know, I did miss something in when I talked about the schedule of the agenda. We wanted to move the report section, even though the treatment court presentation is gone. We did want to move all reports will be dealt with immediately after we take the short recess, okay? And that means John's report, if he has one, and we'll talk about the radio tower project update at that time. Okay, takes us down to number 13, a resolution awarding the sale of 8.1 million general obligation capital improvement bonds. Mr. Kalish.
It'll be resolution number 23-47, and Mr. Chair, I will hand the mic over to Carol and Brandon to discuss that with us.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Nice to be with you tonight. We have some great news for you. All right, I am going to be reviewing the handout, and I'll move through it rather quickly, but we're going to be talking about the sale of the $8.1 million of bonds that took place this morning, and the resolution that you will be asked to take action on, approving that. And the process of financing this radio tower project actually started 1 year ago, when the county board took action on what was called the initial resolution. And that authorized borrowing up to $8.5 million and the purpose language read, financing capital improvement projects consisting of the radio and tower project, facility maintenance and improvements, and equipment acquisition. So what that means is that if the county were to do a borrowing, that's what the borrowing is limited to. That's what you can only use the money for. Okay, so since that time, well, we prepared, the county was working on getting some final numbers for the project. And in April of 23, we had a discussion about what the final number is, and we came to the number of $8.1 million, okay? So even though you authorized $8.5 million, which was a statutory requirement, you are actually borrowing $8.1 million. Okay, in May of 22, when we were looking at projections for what the interest rate might be, the true interest rate at that time we were using was a 3.64%. And that also included all expenses associated with the issuance that are paid for by the winning bidder. Now, in May of 23, the county prepared to access the municipal bond market. And we did that with the preparation and distribution of a document that's called the official statement. It's a booklet that pretty much looks like a prospectus on the county. And that goes out into the bond market to solicit interest from investors and for underwriters to place a bid. We also use that document to request a bond rating from Moody's Investor Service. That is a condition of having a bond rating, as any time you do a borrowing, you do need to go back to Moody's and request the rating. So our firm, Wisconsin Public Finance Professionals, assisted the county as your municipal advisor. We coordinated the legal document preparation, which includes the resolution that you're acting upon tonight with your bond counsel, which is the law firm of Quarles and Brady. We prepared the official statement. We also prepared a notice of sale and bid forms that went out into the marketplace to the underwriters. And we also assisted the county with the bond rating application with a comprehensive conference call with Moody's. And I am very happy to be with you tonight to report the rating results, whereby the county has received the upgrade from Moody's Investor Service to an A1 rating. We've been waiting for this to happen for a very long time. Back in 2016 is when Moody's actually downgraded. The county was A1 at that time in 2016, but in December of 2016, they downgraded the county from an A1 to an A2, so that's one notch down, okay? And then again in March of 2018, they downgraded the county again from an A2 to an A3. So obviously the county has gone through an awful lot of hard work, an awful lot of pain, tough decisions, and a lot has changed with regard to the policies and the planning and all of the development of strategic plans and capital plans and things that we were able to present to Moody's at this conference call. So I guess I thank you for all the hard work and pain that you have gone through, but it is nice to see you finally rewarded with coming back to your A1 rating, which took over 6.5 years to accomplish.
So let's have a round of applause for ourselves.
That's correct.
This is significant.
And what better time to get that news when you're borrowing money, because that's when it makes a difference, right? I mean, it would be nice of them to do it anytime, but boy, when you're going to be borrowing money, right, the better the credit rating, the better the interest rate. So, I mean, $8.1 million is not something the county does very often. So it's very nice that after such a long wait that we were able to receive that upgrade when you were actually doing this type of borrowing. Okay? All right, so I do have the credit report. I will point out some highlights for you, but I'm going to just continue with my summary. I'm going to go to page 2. And we took bids this morning from underwriters. And we received 5 bids. The winning bid came from what is the firm that's called BOK Financial Securities. It's really a subsidiary of the Bank of Oklahoma, but they have a Milwaukee operation. The true interest rate was a 3.49%. Okay, so That goes to show you what your rating has done for you. You know what's happened in the bond market since a year ago, right? And we were looking at a 3.64 at that time. Now a year later, and with an improved credit rating, we're at a 3.49%. Okay, that's worth a couple $100,000 of difference in interest cost. The other firms that placed bids was Northland Securities out of Minneapolis, Robert Baird out of Milwaukee, the Baker Group also out of Oklahoma City, and TD Securities out of New York. So you can see you had a variety of interest from many states. And you can see there we went from a 3.49 as the winning bid up to a 3.69 as the fifth bidder. Okay? So also included on page 2 of my presentation is what's called a source and uses of funds. The reason for my including it in this report is because when underwriters place their bids on these bonds, they bid this with what's called premium. That means the investors who buy them are going to pay you a premium for these bonds. They're going to pay you more than $100 for $100 worth of bonds. Okay? So all of this activity of selling the bonds to investors is expected to create a premium that is going to come back to the county in the amount of $321,988. So that means you're going to receive $8.1 million that's going to go in your project account, and you're going to get another $321,988, and the only thing you can do with that is to put it into debt service. It cannot be used for projects under the law. Okay? So there was actually more than this generated in premium, but the underwriter keeps that portion of the premium, and he pays all the expenses that are associated with the financing, okay, which would include our fee, bond counsel, rating fees, underwriting fees, okay, so he pays all of them out of the premium that he holds onto, okay, from the sale of the bonds. Okay, then page 3 of my handout is the amortization schedule, and it shows you, first of all, starting with the year due in 2024 will be the first interest payments that will be made. The principal will not start until 2026, and it'll go through 2038. The reason for that is because we are wrapping this issue around your existing debt to try and minimize the tax impact, where as your existing debt will be falling off, we're bringing in the principal on this debt. So when we put them together, which is the combined debt service column on the far right-hand side of the page, you'll see that it starts off with the year 2023's debt service, which is your existing, and this is all counties' existing debt for everything, was $3,530,596. Okay, and that number includes county purposes, nursing home. It includes the short-term notes that we did last fall. So all of that is in that number. So it's going to right now drop to $3,194,957. Okay, and of course, if you do a financing in the fall for capital projects short-term, then that number will be added to that. However, that $3,194,000 number is going to be reduced by this $300 and some thousand of interest. Okay, so because it needs to be used by December of 24. All right, so that will reduce that number. Okay, and then it goes up to the $3,200,000 for a few years, and then it's at $3,400,000 and so on. Okay, so that is the debt service schedule. Right below that is the pricing schedule. The column that says yield, so it's a little bit left of the center, is the yield that the investor is getting. So you can see the first yield is 3%, and then it actually drops. It goes 2.85, 2.8, and then eventually it starts to walk back up to 2.85, 2.9, and so on. Okay, so that's just the way the yield curve exists right now in this environment. If you look at the column that says price, which is again just right to the center, you'll see everything is priced at over 100, which again is showing you investors buying $100 worth of bonds at more than $100. That's where the premium comes from. So if you take that price column times the principal amount, you will get the dollar price column on the far right, and that totals up to $8,584,760, right? You're selling $8,000,001. So the difference between that is actually $484,760, and that's all premium. And the underwriter keeps a portion and returns the portion that's not used for expenses to the county, and that's where the $321,000 comes from. Okay, that's also how you get to the true interest rate of the 3.49. Okay, all right. Okay, the fourth page has a few sentences on there. The resolution that you will be acting on tonight is called an award resolution, because this will lock in these final interest rates and tax levy, and it officially awards the bonds to the firm of BOK Financial Securities. June 15th is what is called the closing date and the delivery of funds. So the county will receive that grand total of $8,421,988 to deposit $8.1 million in project and the $321 premium into debt service. And that will offset your payments in 24. Under federal law, the county is required to spend all the borrowed money within 18 months, and that will be December 15th of 2024. Okay. Now, we're moving into a different document, but it's attached, and that is the Moody's credit opinion. I'm not going to read all of this to you. I'm just going to show you some highlights, because you can read this at your leisure, but on the first page under summary, the summary pretty much wraps up their thoughts, and the rest of the report has paragraphs that expand upon each one of those. Talks about the county having a growing economic base driven by agriculture and manufacturing, which have led to solid resident income and wealth. County has established a trend of improving reserves across governmental funds and the nursing home enterprise. And then they give some credit strengths, which again is talking about the improved reserves, and also about regional GDP growth having outpaced the nation. Okay, so again, this is a national rating. It is not just comparing you to other Wisconsin counties, it is comparing you nationally. Okay, all right, and then I'm going to move on to the next page, because the next page actually has some paragraphs. There's a table of 5-year historical statistics, but underneath that, it starts with paragraphs. It has profile, it has the economy. So there's a paragraph that talks about again, what they say in the summary. The economic base is expected to remain stable and is driven largely by agriculture and manufacturing. And then they talk about the gross domestic product grew a 5-year, 2.5% through 2021, ahead of the nation's rate of 2.1. Okay, so they talk about major employers, median household incomes, and then they go into finances, and it talks about reserves are healthy and will likely remain so because of conservative financial management. Through healthcare risks, though healthcare risks associated with the county's nursing home remain, the county reports that the initial fiscal 22, which is last year, that we have an audit for, results are balanced or slight surplus across governmental funds. So the outlook is very positive with regard to the county's finances. The next page, the third page of the report, also shows some graphics about the fund balance and your liquidity, which is also your cash position, which is very strong. So these are all rating positives. And the following page talks about your long-term liabilities, which means your debt. And it says that your long-term liabilities will remain moderate, given limited future borrowing plans. And so again, there's some graphics there about your debt. There's some ESG reporting, which basically says that there is really nothing to be concerned about and does not impact your rating at all. What is important and interesting to look at is the next page, and I know the numbers are very, very tiny. At the bottom of the page, on the left-hand side, it has a number 6. That is an interesting page, because when they arrive at your score of an A1, okay, they look at different categories. The categories they're looking at is economy, financial, an institutional framework, leverage, meaning your debts and your liabilities, okay? And if you look at the score column, what they do is they assign a letter grade to each one of them. So what they're saying is that in the economy score, you have two of the subcategories with a score of an A. But you have a third category, which is an economic growth matrix of a AAA. AAA is the highest you can go. Okay? Then you go to the financial performance, and it talks about your fund balance and your liquidity, which is your cash position. And look at that, you're in a AAA in both of those. So that just goes to show you how strong of a financial position you are. Can't go any higher. Institutional framework is a single A, and that is something out of your control. That's something that Moody's assigns a single A to all county government in Wisconsin. That's why they call it an institutional framework. So that's nothing you can do anything about. And then they get into leverage, which is your debt and other liabilities. So long-term liabilities, you're in the A category. Oops. Yep.
It's red, so.
Carol, you outlasted the battery, the mic again.
Again. Like? Do you want me to talk without it, or?
You can use my mic, Carol, if you want.
Carol,
It's wired.
we're all on mic.
Oh, okay.
Carol.
That'd be honored.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, I just have to,
It's on.
is it on? Is it on? Hello?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Well, let's see if we go for the second one here. Okay, and worth pointing out, in your leverages, your fixed costs are also a AAA category. So just wanted to, I thought that was very interesting, so you know how they rate you and what categories, and sometimes there's things you can do something about and things you can't do something about, right? But all of them come together to create your rating. So this, of all things in the credit report, I think tells you a lot about the progress you've made with your county. Okay, then we can skip through the rest of the pages, and then you get to your resolution. And the resolution, I'm not going to spend too much time on, because the resolution is basically telling you what I just did. It goes back and recites your history in May of 22 with the initial resolution. It tells you the language, the purpose language, which we've already covered. It tells you that we distributed information into the marketplace, that we took bids this morning, that we received the winning bid from BOK Financial Securities. It also says when your principal payments are due, which is March 1st of each year. Interest is semi-annual, and it says that the bonds will have a prepayment feature on them, that when you collect tax money for their payback, it goes into a debt service account, that the money, the borrowed money will go into a project account. You will be subject to federal arbitrage rules. We've talked about this with administrative staff. You're approving the official statement. You're approving to provide ongoing disclosures in the marketplace, which we assist the county with. So that is all through page 8, and then there are a number of exhibits attached. And the exhibits that are attached is, one of them is the notice of sale that we actually put out into the marketplace for the underwriters. And then that is followed by the actual contract that it's called a bid form, that the underwriter signs with his bid. And we also have the debt service, which you have seen, and the pricing schedule, which you have seen. So that really makes up the resolution. Okay? Any questions?
No. Are you ready for a motion on the resolution?
Ready.
Okay, that would be appropriate now. I need a motion to place the resolution before the body. Melissa Luck had her hand up first. Mr. Renish had his hand up second, as a second. So, it's before us. Do we have any questions of Carol? Mr. Carroll.
We're required to spend that in 18 months. What if we don't?
Okay, this is the way this one works, which is a little different than what your other financings have been. Federal law dictates that you have to spend the money but every 6 months there's a benchmark. And we have to test it every 6 months to make sure that you've met that benchmark in terms of how fast you spend the money. If you don't spend the money as fast as you're required to spend under these benchmarks, with all of it by 18 months, then what the county is expected to do is do a calculation to see how much investment income that you have earned on that money during that time. And if you're investing that money, let's say at 4%, and your borrowing rate is in the 3% range, okay, that's called arbitrage profit. So the U.S. Treasury says you can keep your investment earnings up to that 3% number. You can keep all of it, even the positive arbitrage, if you meet the 6-month benchmarks. But if you don't, you have to send the check to the government for the difference in the profit. That's what happens. Okay?
Okay, anyone else? Mr. McGuire, welcome. Yeah.
Sorry, Wade, I thought I'd be able to make it, but the game went there.
No problem. We're discussing our borrowing package for the towers, and Ms. Worth is here presenting that to us, and we just got the resolution on the floor, so we're discussing it right now. Are there any other questions? Are we ready to vote? We can do a roll call vote on this. Let's do that. And an aye will indicate we're going ahead with the resolution. A nay means you don't agree. Mr. Kalish, please call the roll.
So we will start with C.
Aye.
McKee.
Aye.
Grenish. Grenish. Luck.
Aye.
Manning.
Aye.
Gacho. Glassburner.
Aye.
Rudersdorf. Gentis.
Aye.
Turk.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Severson.
Yes.
Williamson.
Aye.
Cooey. Fleming.
Aye.
Voice.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
Murphy Lopez.
Aye.
And Brewer.
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. You have 18. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Works. Have a pleasant and uneventful drive back.
You will.
But now we will call a short recess and we'll do the signatures. Call the meeting back to order. That was a fast $8.1 million loan that we did, wasn't it? But we've been working on it now for quite some time. Pardon?
You raise taxes.
Yeah,
You're protecting our public.
a smidge.
Now let's move on.
Let's move on. And we are bringing reports up in the agenda, and for the primary reason that Mike Day is on virtually, and we want to hear from him about the radio tower project. So Mike, if you're there, do I see you?
Yep.
Okay, and Barb, did you want to say anything to introduce Mike? Or?
Mike Day is our consultant that we've hired for our radio tower project, and he's here this evening just to give us an update on where we're at. That would be why we just bonded for the $8.1 million, and I think with that commitment that the county board has made, it would be appropriate to get an update on where we're at with this project. So with that, I will turn this over to Mike, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Am I coming through?
Yes, you are. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick update and happy to answer any questions. We've really spent the last few months kind of working on a couple of different things, but the bulk of the work, I guess, would center around site acquisition or tower acquisition. If everybody kind of remembers when we received bids from vendors, they certainly had created a design, but had only briefly explored whether or not, so especially some of the lease tower sites, whether those spaces were available, and of course there's always the cost of those spaces. So we've spent a lot of time kind of investigating those existing towers. We've had some bumps along the way, which is not uncommon in these projects, and so we've made some adjustments. We've been assisted by the radio vendor, always kind of looking at how those adjustments or those changes in locations affect the coverage that we're anticipating or we're looking to provide, and so we've been able to kind of adjust and come up with a design that in reality too I think looks a little better than what we had originally, but also has some changes, and we are still within the anticipated 9-site design that the county approved. Finishing up some of that work, we've got a few more outstanding things. We've had some of the lease towers turned into greenfield sites along the way. We've got a few of those. I think maybe only one where we've got some paperwork to work out, and then we still have
excuse me,
kind of a lease.
Mike, can you explain the term greenfield site, please?
Greenfield site meaning a tower in the system that you're going to be building. So you're at that point mostly either buying or I think in the case of all the ones we're looking at, you're leasing some land space, likely an acre of land or something similar or smaller than that, to be able to site a tower that would belong to you. And then you would just pay the landowner for lease off of that each year. So again, finishing up some of those things, but really have kind of come to a point, I think, in a better understanding the resources available as far as towers go, what those are, even the terrain of the county. So I think we've really kind of come to a point where, even if we do end up having some adjustments from where we're at now, or there is always the potential too, as we further investigate these things for regulatory capabilities, that we're going to have some adjustments. But we really, those adjustments are probably going to be very minimal. So with getting that done, we've been able to put on a civil engineer. That's the team that's going to work on the county's behalf to kind of make sure any of those greenfield sites pass, well, any of the sites really. Any regulatory work that's needed, any authorization permits, and then also structurally meeting all the standards that we will want to make sure of in siting antenna equipment, and developing that request for bid, which will give us that the final real main contractor in the project doing a lot of that implementation work of the sites and towers and shelters and such. So we've got them started here just recently on some of the sites that we feel most comfortable with, or that we have a full understanding of. So that work is underway at some of the sites now, and we'll further develop a lot of that here in the next 30 to 60 days, I think, and be able to get that understanding of what exactly is going to be needed in that request. I guess the other piece, we have, again, with the support of the radio vendor here, made some adjustments, and really we're looking towards the second milestone. If everyone remembers, I think the county really floated the initial down payment of the radio vendor contract, and so we're now getting close to that second milestone, which we call detailed design review, which then again with locking in these sites, the radio vendor will take a second look at everything, make any adjustments to the design, come back with a presentation of the layout of the system, and it's really a chance for us to make any final changes as well, and at that point the majority of any I guess adjustments by the radio vendor is probably, or any large adjustments by the radio vendor is probably understood. So we're working towards getting that presentation in here, hopefully by the end of this month, but really kind of getting things finalized so that when the county does receive funds in June, that we've reached that second milestone. So. Along the way as well, kind of unique to Richland County, we have implemented the initial or the dispatch radio consoles, replacing the old system that was in place there. I think the county's been operating on that new system here for 2-3 weeks now. Things are going well there, so we've got those in place. We've still kind of got the old system in there, supporting the door controls and the intercom systems in the jail, which is another big piece of where we've made some movement here. We've just received the responses to that request for bid, and have a good understanding of what it's going to take there to hire a vendor to install new camera systems and jail control systems. And so that's just come in, I think, in the last week or so, and I think you folks will be maybe approving that here in another, maybe at your next board meeting. So again, kind of helpful in the estimation process. Because some of those budgetary numbers that we've been tracking now, we start to understand what are our firm numbers, and we're getting down to that last big piece from the civil vendor. So that's kind of where we're at with everything, and I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet, but... Any questions out there on the floor? Yes, we have a question from Supervisor Gary Manning.
I was just wondering, you're speaking about these sites that you need to acquire. What type of zoning does that require?
I know our civil consultant or engineers have looked into that. I don't know. My understanding is, sometimes we run into a county zoning, sometimes we run into a city zoning. So every situation is a little bit unique. But my understanding is, from what they've done in their preliminary investigation, is they weren't too concerned with the regulations that they found. A lot of times, you get standard setbacks or some type of setbacks from property lines. So those are the things that we would normally run into. But yeah, again, their initial input was not too many challenges that they thought we would have siting any towers. And a lot of these locations are in rural areas. We're not necessarily locating anything in the near residential structures.
Anyone else? Question? Steve Carroll, Supervisor Carroll.
Yes. I was wondering if in the near future we could get a written report giving your best projection for completion date and total cost.
Yeah, certainly. I'm happy to come as often as needed or develop a report. We do have a tracking sheet that we've been using, and so happy to share that with the group as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Murphy-Lopez, go ahead.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to thank Mr. Day and our staff and everyone who's been working on this, including the Public Safety Committee. I've never heard a negative comment about this project from anyone with the public, and I know people are eager to have it done. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to everyone who's been working on this.
Okay, anyone else? Well, thank you, Mr. Day, for your presentation, and you'll probably be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you. And Interim Administrator John, would you like to make any comments at this time?
Sure.
John Hogan.
Is this on? Now is it on?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things I always believe is important is that the administrator have a written report. So on page 81 of your packet is the report that I put together for this month. I'll just hit some of the highlights here. But I think it is important for you to know what the administrator and what current staff is working on. So first, I want to renew the offer to all the County Board Supervisors. A few of you have taken me up on an offer to meet with me. I encourage that. It's good for me to get different opinions and different thoughts. It helps me do my job, that I can help you do your job. I've had meetings with all the individual county department heads. Those have gone very well. That's been very beneficial to me to get to know the county better, to get to know the individuals better, and that again helps me do my job as well. So great meetings with county department heads, and I can say that you are very blessed that you have great staff working for you. Update on the county administrator recruitment. The deadline to apply for the position is May 22nd. The Finance and Personnel Committee will meet in early June to look at the applications and determine who they would like to bring in for interviews. Human Resources Director, we had 3 people that were scheduled for interviews. 2 of those individuals declined the interview after they were scheduled. We did interview one other person who was very qualified, and after a little more thought on her part, she was never offered the position, but she asked to be withdrawn from the recruitment, mainly because 2 reasons. One was the salary, and the other one was related to the daily commute. So we have renewed that search. We're looking at some new sites that we have not used before, and hopefully we will have more news for you in the future. The financial audit, 2002 financial audit, staff from Johnson Block was here, and they were working with the county staff. It's anticipated that the financial audit will be completed and presented to the county board during the month of October. You heard about the Moody's rating call. We met with Carol, the county staff and I met with Carol on May 3rd. There were some conversations, email and phone calls prior to that and after that. And I have to say that Carol and the county staff were very well prepared for that meeting, and they did a great job representing the county. 2024 budget process. This document that before you says that conversations will begin soon. Derek and I have had some very brief preliminary conversations, and we will be providing direction to the county departments very soon. I had in here that budget discussions at times can be challenging. However, we will do whatever we can to work diligently to prepare and submit a budget that meets the state levy limits and also meets the needs of Richland County residents and the taxpayers. Other meetings, since mid-April, I've participated in several meetings regarding the UW campus and also UW Extension, and later on we'll be talking about East Hall this evening. That has been where a significant amount of time has gone to this point. I've also attended several meetings with the City of Richland Center. We've discussed economic development, the radio tower project, the Simons Recreation Complex, and other opportunities for intergovernmental cooperation. So far I've had very good working relationships with the city, and also willing to meet with any of the other local units of government within the county. And then the very last paragraph in here talks about other meetings that I'm attending on a regular basis. Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, John. Any questions out there? Virtually? No? Well, thank you for that update, and your presence here is appreciated and is well received, and everyone's very complimentary. A difficult task. You jump into things, and there's always two ways of looking at most situations. So, all right, thank you. Takes us down to number 14, a resolution approving entering into a 5-year contract for upgrade and implementation of general receipting, tax collection, and property assessment. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-48. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is granted to County Treasurer Jeffrey Even to sign the contract on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson? And Mr. Cosgrove seconds. Did anyone want to speak to this, such as County Treasurer Even?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it is.
Alrighty. So, yeah, if you've read the full resolution, it's pretty well outlined in that document. The vendor that we currently use for the software that runs the entirety of the Treasurer's Office is set to sunset by the vendor, meaning there will no longer be any support. So essentially for us to be able to collect taxes, create tax bills, receive all the funds that come through the county, essentially we just need to upgrade our software. This is a planned budgeted expense. This was in our approved budget that we passed and presented last fall. So this is just a continuance of what we're already doing to a new version of what the vendor has.
Thank you, Mr. Even. Does anyone have a question? Any comment? I'm going to call for a vote then. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. Opposed? The resolution is approved. Number 15. A resolution approving the Sheriff's Office purchase of 2 new vehicles and the purchase and installation of appropriate equipment for those vehicles. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-49. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Sheriff's Office to spend no more than $160,000 for the purchase of 2 new squad vehicles and the appropriate equipment and installation for those vehicles. Be it further resolved that the Sheriff is authorized to spend no more than $160,000 to make these purchases. Be it further resolved that authorities hereby granted for the Law Enforcement Judiciary Committee and the sheriff to sell 2 squad cars in a manner deemed appropriate by the committee, and for the net sale proceeds to be deposited in the general fund in the 2023 county budget. And be it further resolved, these purchases shall be paid from the 2023 short-term borrowing fund, Fund 92. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication. And this is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Turk, seconded by Mr. Manning. This is budgeted and discussed at Finance. Do we have further questions? The sheriff is here. Okay. Mr. Reddish, you're going to ask a question?
No, see if the sheriff on the mic.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call for a vote then. Approving the sheriff's office to purchase 2 new vehicles and equipment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 16, a resolution authorizing the Fair, Recycling, and Parks Committee to apply for and accept a clean sweep grant. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-50. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Richland County Recycling Coordinator Carla Dowdna of the Fair, Recycling, and Parks Department to apply for and accept an agricultural and household clean sweep grant from the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection in the amount of up to $24,000, and that any overage will be supplemented by the General Fund, Fund 10. Be it further resolved that approval is hereby granted for the funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant, and the Recycling Coordinator Carla Dowdna is authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents necessary to carry out this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and that this is being offered to the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 23.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Mr. Seed, and we'll let Mr. Manning second that then. Carla, I see you're virtual. Did you wish to speak to this?
Not unless, I mean, if somebody has questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Okay, pretty straightforward here. Applying for a grant. And I think we do this every year, don't we?
We try to do it every other year for this grant.
Okay. All right. I'm going to call for a vote then, and authorizing them to the Fair, Recycling, and Parks to apply for and accept a clean sweep grant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 17, a resolution approving reclassification of the Behavioral Health Services Manager position. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-51. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the above listed position, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, once again being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 2023.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. McKee, seconded by Ms. Glesrunner. And I see that Trish Clements is here to speak to this.
Yeah. So we have taken a look at this position and what the job duties are, and have taken some of the job duties out of the job description. So we requested a reclass. So this has been classified down to one position. So it's a lower pay grade, and the duties that have been removed are duties we will contract out.
Thank you. And I think in the long run, we actually reduce our salary. Okay. Any questions further? All those in favor of the resolution reclassifying positions in behavioral science, health services, behavioral health services, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Number 18, a resolution reclassifying positions in the courthouse maintenance department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-52. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the above listed position to start at step 2 in the amount of $28.92 per hour, following a 3-month probation advance to step 4 in the amount of $30.24 an hour. Be it further resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the job description for the position of County Maintenance Manager in the County Maintenance Department will be on file in the County Administrator's Office, and that this resolution shall be effective May 28 of 2023. This resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Reddish, seconded by Mr. Williamson. I'm going to ask John Holcomer to speak to this because he's been involved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a conversation that began long before I began as the interim county administrator. And the reclassification of the position, we went to Carlson Detman because of the actual duties. So this, what we're proposing here tonight better reflects the actual duties of the individual that's currently serving as a courthouse maintenance manager. So a couple things would happen if you approve this resolution this evening. Number one, that the courthouse maintenance department would be renamed to the county maintenance department because the individual serving in the current position is doing maintenance and repair in buildings other than just the courthouse. It would also, the county manager's position would be changed to grade K, and as Mr. Kalish reported before, that the individual would start at step 2, and 3 months later, this will be after a probationary period, would move to step 4 of the pay scale. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are questions of the board.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions? I know that Randy has been taking on more and more responsibilities, and we've hinted to him that those are probably going to grow. Anyone? Okay. No further questions. I'll call for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 19, a resolution making amendments to the county classification, compensation, and staff authorization policy. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 23-53. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county classification, compensation, and staff authorization policy are hereby amended by adopting the attached Richland County Staff Authorization Table. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective May 28 of 2023, and again offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on May 3rd of 2023.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Turk, seconded by Ms. Fleming.
Again, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Holcomer, please.
This resolution simply just takes the 2 prior positions that you just approved the classifications of and includes that, and it updates the current classification.
Bookkeeping. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, you guys, on virtual. Opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Number 20, a resolution approving Richland County MIS to enter into a contract with Catalyst for website management and meeting management for a total cost of $15,200 per year. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-54. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Richland County MIS Department to enter into a contract with Catalyst for website and meeting management services. Be it further resolved that funds to carry out this resolution shall come from the MIS budget, and approval is hereby granted for the MIS Director to sign the purchase agreement for these services. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on April 13 of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Fleming, and Mr. Cosgrove. And Barb, did you want to speak to this? Or?
Just to know, this software is the same company that Treasurer Evans company that you approved earlier is from. So we'll interface well with our other software throughout the county. Also, our county clerk Kalish has demoed this software and likes the meeting management piece of it that he has seen, so we have confidence that it's going to work well for us.
Okay, thank you. And it is Catalyst, huh? Okay. Who knew? All right. All those in favor of this resolution?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
Is this in the adopted budget for MIS for this year?
The question was, if you didn't hear, Barb, is it budgeted?
It's in the approved borrowed money for this year, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Ingrid Glassbetter.
In the presentation that you guys have added, it says that the cost is for this year only, and then it increases by 6%. Is that correct? Is that going to be every year continuing on?
We would anticipate that. It would be that with each company that we receive bids from, that would be the anticipated increase. And that includes a refresh of the website every 3 to 5 years.
So you're accounting for inflation there with the 6%, I would guess, right? Okay. Anyone else? All right. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Number 21, a resolution approving the purchase and installation of 8 new garage doors by the Highway Department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-55. It's a short one. Be it further resolved that the funds for these purchases are in the County Highways Department 2023 county budget, and this resolution is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on March 9th of 2023.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, Mr. Williamson, seconds. We need new doors, right? Okay, Josh is here. Highway Commissioner, Josh.
Yeah, if there's any questions I can answer them about them, but we're in desperate need of new garage doors. We have them being held together by literal road signs right now, and we had multiples disintegrate during plow season, which prevented us from getting our plow trucks out the door in a timely manner. So, desperate need of them.
All right. I always wondered what happened to old road signs. Now we know. All right, we need some doors. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we got doors. At least we may pursue doors. All right, number 22, approving the purchase of 2 new trucks and auto and body builds, including snowplows, by the Highway Department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-56. Be it further resolved that the funds for these purchases are in the County Highway Department's account in the 2023 budget, and again offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on February 16 and April 13 of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Fleming makes the motion. Mr. McKee seconds the motion. And we got to buy new trucks, right, Josh?
Got to keep buying new trucks. We're trying to keep shooting for 2 every year for replacements to kind of combat some of the deferred maintenance that's been done over the years. We have good news on these trucks is because we're actually ordering them this year and we're going to receive them this year. We're actually going to receive these trucks sooner than the ones we ordered last year, which are still in La La Land. So.
Okay. All right, and these are all budgeted?
Correct. These were budgeted for.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Question, Mr. Turner.
In looking at the resolution, it doesn't say now therefore be it resolved that we're actually doing anything. I'm just curious about that wording.
I'll refer to
whereas.
Yes.
Just want to make sure they can actually do something. I'm reading the one from my iPad here.
No, you're correct. There should be a now therefore be it resolved that the above purchases are approved. The Board of Supervisors approves the above purchases.
Do we need to amend, or can that be?
I would feel more comfortable with an amendment.
Let's amend.
I'd make the motion to amend.
Mr. Turk makes a motion to amend, seconded by Mr. McKee. We'll vote on the amendment then. It adds the whereas. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so we have the amendment now on the purchase of the trucks, which will really allow them to do it. So, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. All right, thanks for catching that, Mr. Turk.
Mr. Chair, since we're on the subject, the previous resolution also omits that clause.
It does.
I recommend a vote to bring that back to the table for discussion and then a move to amend that as well.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to bring adopted resolution, I don't remember the number of that, but number 21 on our agenda back for consideration.
So moved.
All right, Turk, seconded by Williamson.
Move for amendment.
And first we're bringing it back, so all in favor of bringing it back, signify by saying aye. 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 Yeah. Now it's back. Amendment, Mr. C?
Yes.
Second, Ms. Fleming? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? And now we'll vote on the amended resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? All right. I think we did it. Did we do it, Mr. Windham?
Yes.
All right. Great. Number 23, resolution approving the Highway Department applying for a grant. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-57. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county shall apply for congressionally directed spending for the road name, the total cost, and the amount is listed before you in the resolution. Being further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on April 4 of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Fleming, seconded by Mr. Manning. And Josh Elder, did you want to speak to this? Or?
Yeah, I can. These funding opportunities become available every so often that we find out about, and a lot of times you're not given more than a couple days sometimes to apply for them. So working with the prior administrator, Clint, gave me authorization to go ahead and go after them. We had less than a week to turn these funding applications in. One was for the famous County Hole project that's 20 years old, and the other one is for County Road A, which starts at the A and Z and double Z intersections and takes you out to Highway 56. We went after 100% funding for the County Road A and do a normal 80-20 split for the whole project.
Thank you. Okay, question back here.
Do we need to do another amendment for this one too?
Well,
no, this one does have the appropriate, now therefore be it resolved.
Okay. All right, so this one, the wording is appropriate, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Murphy. Lopez.
Add a comment. I don't know that I need an explanation for this, but I think there was too long of a delay in bringing this to us. I think there was some question. I don't know exactly. I can't quite remember how it all went, but at the same meeting where we were requesting the ability to apply for congressionally directed grants for the campus, we turned that down, and I think this could have been brought back at that point. So this in the future, I just want to make sure to remind folks that we do have a county board rule about applying for grants. And then those have to go through the county board. And of course, I'm supportive of this. It's more of a process issue, just getting these things to the county board in a timely fashion. So thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments, and I'm glad we did this. We might get some money out of it. All those in favor of this resolution signify, did we already vote on this?
No.
Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. It's done. A resolution number 24 approving an amendment to a provider contract for 2023 for the Health and Human Services Department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-58. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the following amendment to the following 2023 contract with Premier Financial Management Services LLC, with the original contract being for $100,000, amended to $180,000, due to an increased need for financial management services for children and families enrolled in the CLTS program. Be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend any of the above contracts by not more than 15%. Be it further resolved that the Director of the Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Trish Clements, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution, and that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the county board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee on May 11 of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Glassrenner and Mr. Cosgrove seconds. And Trish Clements is standing by.
So the first thing I want to say is there is no levy in this contract. These are Medicaid dollars that are received for children who are in the Children's Long-Term Support Program. So this agency just manages the funds and ensures that they're spent appropriately.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the resolution, you've heard the explanation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Okay, brings us to a scheduled agenda item convening into closed session to pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985, Parent 1, Parent E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting of specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The topic will be East Hall facility.
Motion to closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Rennish. Seconded by Ms. Voice to go into closed session. I'm asking for unanimous approval. Aye. Virtually, are you in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Okay. Since the vote was unanimous, we are in closed session. But we'll have that as an amendment.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move to amend the contract to state at some point in there that Richland County get the first right of refusal if and when the school district decides to relinquish ownership of their property.
Do we have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, all right, Linda, you got your second. We'll speak to the amendment. Mr. Williamson?
I spoke with Mr. Board, and he said he would not like to, he said if it was short term, he was not in favor of 99-year lease. I agree with Mr. Church, let's wash our hands on it and be done with it. That was his thought. He's not speaking for the full board, but that was his thought.
But how about the right of first refusal question?
He has no intentions of selling the property.
Mr. Chair, we can't hear Mr. Williamson online.
What's that?
They can't hear you online. Steve, you got to...
I spoke with Mr. Board, and he is not in favor of anything long-term. He would be in favor of something, and he's not speaking for the full board, but he's saying something like maybe 5 to 10 years. Otherwise, he doesn't think they would, he's not sure, but he's not speaking for the full board as far as like a 99-year lease. My opinion would be not to add anything.
But as the lease, right? But my amendment for first right of refusal
if and when they want to sell, even though they don't have intentions, but like the board to reminder of Jefferson School, Lincoln School, and Pine River School that they relinquish ownership on and sell those. So.
Yeah, we have an motion to amend, and we have a second, I believe, to that. Correct?
Yes.
We're discussing the amendment right now. So Steve, I'm going to ask you again, would they accept this amendment then?
Why would they not?
Giving us right of first refusal?
I think short term, I don't think you would like to see 99 years.
No, we're not talking.
You can put a length on the first right of refusal as well.
Okay.
That's what he was speaking about. So, but he said in our lifetimes, everybody in this room, there is no intention, but I agree with Kerry also. When Jefferson was built, nobody had plans of, but our populations are declining, so who knows what 20, 30 years from now will be.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Reddish.
Just so I'm clear, I think what Kerry's saying is that after a year, the school district will own it, but after that period of time, if they decide to sell it, then we would have the right of first refusal.
Yes.
All right.
I think the debate right now is how long would that right of first refusal be in effect?
Up until such time as they decide to sell.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Jennings.
I've done that on many sales. It doesn't matter. I mean, they'll get the same good price one way or another. We just get the right to purchase it. It doesn't matter how long it is. That's not really important.
Right.
We don't get to set the price. We just get the
No,
right.
I mean, if at the price we get the right to refuse that or not.
Yes, I gotcha.
So it doesn't matter how long. I've never done a length on one when I made a sale or purchased something.
That's correct. I've had experience with that.
So, hearing all of that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. McGuire.
Are we in closed session right now?
Yes. No, we're in open
Hold it,
session.
just a minute. I asked him, okay? The rest of you are out of order. Are we in closed session right now?
We are not. We are back in
We are
open
not
session.
in closed session. So are we discussing this in closed session though?
We're done with closed session. We're back in open session now, addressing the resolution.
Okay, if this is important to discuss in closed session, so I'm going to ask council to step in here too. Why are we having conversation taking place between representatives from the school district and individual board members here? Okay?
We established a negotiating team now.
Because once it's relayed here by individual board members, now it's hearsay.
Well,
am I right or am I wrong? Is hearsay when it becomes relayed here by individual board members?
You are wrong.
Okay, you tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how am I wrong?
I don't actually understand what it is that you're trying to assert. So are you saying that you cannot rely upon the reports of individual board members now that they've brought action to the board?
We have gone into closed session with the education committee with the school district on this issue in the past. Now we're sitting here going to vote on something and we're getting secondhand reports from individual board members.
But Dan, doesn't the document speak for itself that the resolution represents? I mean, that sets out the terms.
To what reports are you referring, I guess?
One more time, excuse me.
So you're saying that you've received reports from individual board members. Which reports?
Well, we've had, if I would repeat myself, Linda, we've had meetings with the school district that we went into in closed session. Matter of fact, lengthy closed sessions. Okay. In hours, basically having a town hall discussion here. I mean, everybody jumped in. Who's been talking to who? I don't know. I just don't think we should conduct business that way. This is public business. It should be conducted in front of the public.
Okay, Ms. Gentis, do you want to respond to Mr. McGuire?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. McGuire, we did have meetings about that, and then we voted to remove East Hall from our agreement. And we voted on that, and then we voted on that in the county board. And when that was removed, that was no longer part of the education committee. That went to the Public Works Committee. And the Public Works Committee has now worked on selling or leasing or what, they went through all the different things and they decided to sell the building. So that's where we're at in this stage.
Thank you for that explanation. Okay, we do have an amendment before us, and that amendment is to right of first refusal. And I guess those with no time limit, apparently. Okay, can we vote on that amendment? Who's in favor of adding right of first refusal? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Present.
Okay.
Present.
Roll call.
We'll call a roll call on this amendment. Mr. Kalish, please call the roll, and an aye vote means you want to add language to the resolution giving the county right of first refusal.
Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, can I just make a point of information here that in our county board rules, we do have an option for folks to abstain. We don't have that option to state you're present. So if you want to not vote, you would say abstain, according to our rules.
Thank you. Mr. Manning?
Yes, Mr. Wendell, do you see this being a big enough delay that could cause a problem with the closing?
I have no way of estimating what impact that might have. I know the school board met last night. I don't know off the top of my head what their regular meeting schedule is, whether they'd be willing to call a special session. They would need to approve an identical version of the contract, and so amending this contract would then require it to go back to them for further approval, unless they have rules within their...
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. McKee.
They want to take possession June 15th, is that correct? If they go beyond that, they won't be able to get the facility up and running. Is that correct?
My understanding is they would prefer to occupy the building June 1st,
okay.
But June 15th is kind of the last workable date.
So if somebody's thinking about postponing it until the next meeting, it won't work.
Mr. Wendell, can I just clarify? Are you saying that they already have a copy of this and they're already going through with the process of whether or not they're going to approve this? And if we amend it, they have to call a special meeting?
No, I am saying they have approved this already at their meeting last night. I attended their meeting, answered any questions that they had. They had very few, made just a slight tweak that was requested on their end, and then they voted to approve this document, with the exception of the notice of address being in there.
So they would have to have a special meeting to approve an amended... Correct.
Or they'd have to take it up at their next regular meeting, or if they have some committee structure or authorized party.
Mr. Severson.
I just don't know if people understand what the first right of refusal does. So if and when, let's say 40 years from now, the school district wants to sell East Hall, and they put a price of $350,000, which is now more because of appreciation value of land. They want to do $350,000, want to sell it, they don't have a need for it. The first right of refusal says, hey, Richland County, we're wanting to sell this property now, we don't have a use for it. $350,000 is what we want to have. Would you like to purchase it for $350,000? And then the county board come in and say, well, yes, I want to have it, here's $350,000. Or no, I don't want it, we don't want to pay the headache of having to have that for $350,000. And then the school district will be like, okay, and now it goes out to the public for them to pay $400,000, $250,000. It just gives us the opportunity to get it back.
Right.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Seay.
Mr. Severson is exactly correct. This in no way puts any restriction on the school district in terms of their ability to sell it. all they're going to do at some point, if they decide that they want to sell it, is put it up for sale, and they give us first dibs on it. We may say, well, I'm sorry, we don't want to buy, but thanks for honoring our agreement. There's no other restriction at all. This ensures the county's possible interest in the future should circumstances change and we may find a need and perhaps a use for that property. In the final analysis, the authority for approving this is not a committee, but it is the entire county board. And the county board has the right to insert its opinion and to vote on this and to make the final decision. I don't think in any way this imposes on the committee's initial understandings that they have made with the school district. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rennish.
For the sake of governmental cooperation, instead of hand-tying the school district for the future, maybe the county will just have to participate in the free market system and bid on the building if they have a need for it. I'm against this completely.
Okay, thank you.
May I respond?
Yes, keep it short.
I have the greatest respect for Mr. Rennich's opinion, but if this in no way ties the school district's hands, what's the matter here? Yes. Mr. Rennish, thank you, and I appreciate what you're saying, but I think it's a misunderstanding to think this ties the school district's hands. They still have the option of saying, no, we don't want to give you a right of refusal. That's their decision. We're just asking for it. And it does not, when they decide to sell it, all they have to do is give us first dibs. If we say no, they can sell it to somebody else. They can set the price as high as they want to market value when they decide to sell it. And we can't say, well, will you take less? They'll say, no, so no way does this restrict me.
But he still needs
Did you hear Don? Virtual people, Linda?
Yes, I
All right,
did.
you heard it.
Okay, you're good. They heard you.
No, we couldn't.
Mr. Rennish, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna call a vote on the amendment, but we'll have to take roll. So we're voting. If you want to add right of first refusal, say aye. If you don't, say nay.
Okay, so we will start with McKee.
Me?
Yes, McKee.
No.
Rennish.
No.
Luck.
Yes.
Manning.
No.
Concho, Glassburner.
Yes.
Rudersdorf, Gentis.
Yes.
Turk.
No.
Cosgrove.
No.
Frank.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Williamson.
No.
Cooey, Fleming.
Yes.
Voice.
No.
McGuire.
No.
And then Carroll.
No.
Murphy Lopez.
Aye.
Brewer.
No.
Seep. Don. Yes or no?
Aye. Aye.
Yes? Okay, so I have 8 yeses, 10 noes. So it does not carry.
So the amendment is defeated. So that brings us back to the initial resolution. And I'll call, once again, a roll call vote on that. And an aye means yes, you're approving the contract resolution. A no means no. Mr. Kalish.
Give me 1 second, get my sheet ready. All right, so we'll start with Rennish.
Yes.
Luck.
Yes.
Manning.
Yeah.
Gaucho. Glassburn.
Yes.
Rudersdorf, Gentis.
Yes.
Turk.
Yes.
Cosgrove.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Cooey. Fleming,
Yes.
Voice,
Yes.
McGuire,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
Murphy Lopez,
Aye.
Brewer,
Yes.
and Seep,
Yes.
and McKee.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries with 17 yes and 1 no.
The motion, yes, thank you. The resolution is adopted. Mr. Hunkemer, do we have any appointments to discuss tonight?
We do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So based on the prior approval this evening of the county position going from a county courthouse maintenance department to a county maintenance department and reclassifying that position, this requires the administrator's appointment of that individual who is a department head, and I am appointing Randy Nelson to that newly named position, and I ask for your confirmation of that appointment.
Okay, Mr. Cosgrove and Mr. Carroll. All those in favor of this appointment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the appointment is approved. Anything else?
Nothing from me.
All right. In correspondence, we did receive, oh, where is it?
Right here.
Thank you. We did receive from the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, addressed to Amy Hoffman, Administrator, Richland County Child Support. Congratulations for Richland County for receiving the Federal Fiscal Year 2022 Certificate of Excellence Award. It demonstrated excellence in all 4 performance measures and paternity establishment, 90% or greater, court order establishment, 80% or greater, collection rate, 80% or greater, arrears case collection, 80% or greater. Your agency is one of 16 honored this year with this award. So my congratulations to Amy and the child support, and I'm sure you join me in extending that congratulations. So, Mr. Manning, we come to your role in the meeting. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Manning. Do we have a second? Yes, Ms. Fleming. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.